All right, guys, good morning, good afternoon, good night, whenever you guys are watching this. My name is Cayley. I am a full-time online reseller. I have a team of people who help me list items on both eBay and Poshmark, and every week I like to come on and do a what sold video. So this is a what sold from last week video. We are covering January 1st through the 7th, and I'm going to share my numbers with you from all of my sales on eBay and Poshmark, which is shown on this screen here. And then we'll dive into some of the individual sales of stuff that I think is worth noting that you might want to look for while you are out at your thrift store if you also want to flip things for a profit. So no fancy intro today. Usually talk about business a little bit and where we're at, but I feel like I've done that a lot of videos. So if you want, go back the last couple of what sold videos and it'll catch you guys up on where we are at, but definitely doing some things in the business to increase sales. Most of it is sourcing and listing more. Last week we had a really rough sales week just because we were coming out of the Christmas holiday, which is pretty traditionally a slow week, so I kind of expected that. This week, however, the one that we're reporting today, I definitely thought that sales would pick back up, and man, they picked up really far. As you guys can see, we went from under 5,000 to well over 6,000, which I am super happy with, and this is kind of where I want to live for a while, between 6 and 7,000. So last week we sold a total of 295 items for a gross sales total of $6,660.13. Said that wrong, but about $6,600. Average sale price in total was $22.58. Estimated cost of goods based on average buy cost was almost $1,200. So you can see the more that we're listing, obviously our costs are going to go up. And then our estimated net, which is just the gross sales, less cost of goods, all the fees, shipping costs, and any discounts in shipping that I provided on Poshmark, made my estimated net $3,769.52, which I'm pretty impressed with. That's a pretty good number. I'd love to see estimated net be 5,000 every week. That would be a goal of mine that I would like to hit because I'd feel super comfortable with the rest of my costs and the amount of money that I'm putting in my pocket if I could get there. So that's kind of what we are trying to head towards. I'm not sure what gross sales would look like at that point. I'm thinking probably between 8 and 9,000 in order to make that happen, maybe even 10,000, but overall, super impressed with the team, super impressed with what we've been able to do, and looking forward to seeing this number continue to increase and this number continue to increase. On eBay, I sold 96 items. On Poshmark, we are still liquidating stuff, but it has definitely slowed down. We sold 199 items on Poshmark, which was pretty much clearance. Let's just call it what it is. But on eBay, we had some really solid sales. So on eBay, of those 96 items, we had a gross sales total of $3,743.43. Average sale price was $38.99. I'm just going to call it $39. That is really good. That is back to where we want to be, somewhere between $35 and $40. If it goes more than 40, obviously we are going to be okay with that, but to me, this is a pretty good average sale price based on the kind of items that we can normally find. And then on Poshmark, again, we sold 199 items for a gross sales total of $2,916.70, which, more items, less profits. But again, we're clearancing out some of those older items and flipping them on Poshmark using closet clear out. I am going to stop doing closet clear out as much. So instead of doing it twice a month, which is on average what I've been doing these last several months, we're probably going to slow down to once a month and just do it when I do my monthly dropping prices for items older than 90 days. And that made my average sale price only $14.66. A lot of people lately have been reaching out to me who have kind of the same issue where when you first started reselling, you were not focusing on a sell-through rate and you picked up items just because you thought they were cute or because you heard other resellers talking about it and you really did no research. Now it's a year, 2 years later, and those items are still sitting in your store. They're not moving and you want to get rid of them and focus on picking up better items. A lot of people lately have been asking me what to do or how I'm kind of accomplishing this. You gotta clearance stuff out, you gotta drop prices, and sometimes you gotta break even and take a loss, which is kind of what we've been doing. I would say in general, we're still at least doubling our money, but am I getting as much as I originally listed the item for? Absolutely not. At an average sale price of $14.66, I probably priced most of those items at around 25 to 30 when I originally listed them. So you can see I'm getting about half of what I expected to, but still, even if I'm breaking even, it is worth it to me to get those older items moving out of my store and closet. Enough about that. Let's dive into some of these items. I'm going to start with eBay, and then I do have some higher price sales on Poshmark that I want to show you as well. All right. This is the brand Arc'teryx. I've mentioned this before, so I won't go into too big of detail, but this is definitely a brand in pretty much anything you're going to want to pick up. Absolutely high sell-through rate. Men's, women's, doesn't matter. Smaller sizes, doesn't matter. This brand sells. This was a more substantial piece. It was called the Men's Atom SL Hooded Zip Jacket. And this sold within about a week of getting it listed. And this is normal for this brand. And again, not even in jackets. I've done like extra small leggings as well. Sells within about a week and sells for full asking price. We paid $6.99 for this, and we sold it for a full asking price of $149.91, so $150 in a week. That is amazing. I definitely want to look for this brand. This has been a newer find lately. I always like sharing with you guys newer stuff. I try to do my very best to not show you stuff that I've already shown you unless it's just kind of a reminder there's something new with it. But this would be something I'd say is pretty new to this channel, and lately we've been finding the baggy silver tab Levi's. Now, the baggy silver tab Levi's is not something I used to pick up, but because of this new like Y2K 90s trend, like all the older stuff is coming back, baggy stuff has really come back into style, and we've seen a huge uptick in this kind of item. So when we came across it, we were like, you know what, we're going to look these up again. So silver tab is just that. You guys know Levi's sometimes has different color tabs. It's the silver tab of Levi's. Oftentimes it also says silver tab on it, but this line right now, the silver tab line, is pretty popular in Levi's because most of the styles during that time when they made that line were baggy, which again is very trendy right now. We've also got corduroy in these pants, which corduroy, for whatever reason, has really come back in style. I'm not sure if that was like more of a Y2K thing or what, or if there's some other aesthetic that's pulling the corduroy through, but all I know is corduroy is back in. So when I, pair that with the baggy style, you're definitely looking at a high price sale. So these were a men's Levi's. They definitely had, they were old, right? So they had some wear, but in general were in pretty great condition, and they would have the kind of wear that you would expect for an item as old as it is. We did put them through the washer because it did seem like they'd been sitting and had like quite a bit of dust on them for a while. They came out pretty clean, and we listed them pretty high because that's what comps were telling us. I only paid $3 originally, and they sold within just a week. We listed this in January, which is the month we're living in, so it took about a week to sell, for our full asking price of $99.91. Since we originally picked these up, we do have some others that are about to be listed that we scheduled out, so I'm hoping that those will fly as well. But I wanted to spend a little bit of time on this item showing you to definitely pick up baggy styles, not only in this brand, but if you see other baggy styles, definitely worth looking into. Next up is one of my favorite brands to sell. It is Ralph Lauren, whatever, a lot of their lines. I found this new with tags blazer. You can see it actually retails for $100, which is what I listed it for, $99.88. It did take a couple of months to sell, and I actually almost left this behind. This is a women's size 16 blazer. We paid $9.99 for this, which is the reason that I almost left it behind, because it was $10. And I was like, I don't know, that's kind of an investment for something that might sit. But when I did comps, it had a decent sell-through rate, definitely not 100%, but the ones that were selling for a lot. So I was like, $10, we're going to risk it and get it. To my surprise, it sold relatively quickly, right? Within about a month, and I 10 times my money. So I can't believe I almost left this behind. Definitely worth looking into. I know we preach about 100% sell-through rate all the time, but if you've got something with, let's say, a 50 to a 75% sell-through rate, but the comps, the ones that are selling for a lot, in my opinion, it's worth risking it to get it, and maybe just drop your price a little bit lower than everybody else's to get yours to move quicker. That's kind of my method of madness for moving items like this, but really great thing to be on the lookout for, especially in a navy blue color. Next up is the brand Mercé or Merci. I'm honestly not sure how to pronounce it, but here is the tag. This brand I found a few of lately, and they've been performing extremely well, so I would highly recommend keeping your eye out for this. Most of the time I'm noticing they're kind of oversized, which we've talked about before is a key indicator of something that might be a brand worth looking into and doing a comp on. This one did take a couple of months to sell, but sold for really good money, and if you look up this brand, it does have a really good sell-through rate. I paid $4.89 for it. We originally listed it for about $72 or best offer because comps were kind of all over the place and we weren't quite sure where we wanted to put that at. It ended up selling on an offer for $60, which I was really happy with. Here's another Ralph Lauren piece. This is again Ralph Lauren. I showed this in a thrift haul. This is a down-filled puffer jacket with a fur hood, which is going to add value. It's also a longer length, also going to add value. Also an extra large, going to add value. We did have to kind of estimate sizing. There wasn't a size tag. We determined it was a size extra large, and you'll see we did put that in the description here. Overall, pretty good condition. You guys told me when I was showing this in a thrift haul, I told you about what I thought I would price it at, and you were like, no, price it for over 100. You can definitely get that. At the time that thrift haul went live, we had already had this listed. But I don't know. I kind of stand by my decision to price it at this much because for me, there were some outliers on stuff that was selling for a lot, but this is about what everything was going for. And I think that's the reason mine sold so quickly. I think if I would have priced it over $100, I would have maybe have been sitting on it until winter the following year, which is not what I want. So even though I got significantly less for the jacket, I am not holding on to it, if that makes sense. So I'm okay with my decision for that, but maybe you pick this up and you want to price it higher, just know you might be sitting on it a little bit longer. I paid $8.99 for this. We listed at $64.87. Again, some of these were going for more than that, but this was kind of a median for me. We ended up selling it very, very quickly within a few weeks of getting it listed for an offer to watcher of $58.38. This was a surprising sale. This is Houston Heritage. This is not a brand I normally get, but when I felt this, it felt super thick and high quality. I looked at the materials. It was made out of yak and extra fine merino wool, which anytime I come across something and I'm like, man, this isn't a brand I normally get, but it feels so high quality, you bet I'm looking that up with the materials because most of the time it's a good pickup. Material can really pull a sale through on a brand that you don't normally get. This actually had pretty decent comps when I included the materials. We paid $4.89 for it, listed it for $64.87. It sold within a couple of weeks for our full asking price. So if you come across anything thick knit like this, got yak, got merino wool, I would definitely look into it. This is a brand that is kind of newer to me, but has been performing really well. We found a couple of these pieces. It is Taylor Stitch. Pretty identifiable tag if you're out in the wild. I'd say that's one that, like, if I saw it, I'd probably look it up just because of how simple it is. We talked about that before. This was a really thick, high quality organic cotton button-up shirt. Also a larger size in a size 42. We paid $4.89, listed it for $64.87. It sold very quickly within just a couple of weeks for our full asking price, so I'm super happy with that. Every piece we sold by this brand has just flown for us, super fast sales and really good money. Here's another fast seller with some really good money, although this one, I say fast seller, normally this one actually did take a little bit longer sell, took a few months. This is Driftwood. It is a denim wear brand and they tend to make jeans that have embroidery on the bottom. The ones that sell the best for me that fly off the shelf are the flare ones. These ones were not what I would consider flare. They were more of like a straight and that tapered at the bottom. So I think that's why these took a little bit longer to sell. They were called the Colette jeans. We paid $5.50 for these. We originally listed them, I think, for like $65 and then had drop price because they did sit for a little bit. But even though they sat, we still ended up getting an offer of $45 for them, which is a great return on investment. This is definitely a brand I would recommend picking up. Even if you have to sit on it, as you can see, you're still getting really good money for it, even sitting on it. And next up is a super quick flip. This is a Kate Spade bag. It was in immaculate condition. This is a purple Laurel Way Rima crossbody bag. We found out the name of it was. It was a really nice purple color. Again, really great condition. The inside was clean as well. This was a cowhide leather bag. We actually paid up for this, but I knew it would sell quickly, which is why I did not mind paying up for it. We picked it up for $9.99. We listed it for about $45, sent offers to watchers. It sold within a couple of weeks for an offer of $40.38, which again is when I sent to my watchers. This was a lightning fast sale. I'm pretty sure this sold within a couple days of getting it listed. This one was listed in January, so it couldn't have been any longer than a couple of days. But this is a brand I would highly recommend keeping your eye out for. It is the American Leather Co. bag. Let me see if I can find, oh, here it is. Here is the tag, although there are other ones I've gotten before that are like etched into the exterior of the bag. Either way, look for American Leather Co. Super high sell-through rate. This one actually had a couple bits of discoloration, which we made sure to note. Even with that, sold very, very quickly. I priced mine a little bit lower just because of the discoloration. I'm seeing comps anywhere from 40 to like 75-ish on the pre-owned ones. We paid $5.99. I listed mine at $39.91. Like I said, it took a couple of days to sell, but even with those marks, still a great return on investment because it did sell for our full asking price of about $40. LL Bean is, in my opinion, a hidden gem. Not everybody picks it up, but they totally should. Not every piece, but substantial pieces like this really perform well. And this is an LL Bean robe, which LL Bean sleepwear actually does perform really well. You definitely want to do a comp on it, but in my opinion, almost everything I've picked up in the sleepwear brand has performed really good in this brand. This is called the Ultra Soft Sweatshirt Robe. We picked this up for $4.89, listed it for $39.88. It took a couple of months to sell, but it sold for a 10% off offers to watchers, $35.89. Great return on investment for a sleepwear. This is a brand I almost never pick up now, but I do make exceptions if it is men's. This is Fabletics. These are a pair of men's pants. They were called the Only Chino pants. And again, I'd pretty much steer clear of Fabletics. Even new with tags, I'm not picking it up in the women's department. But in the men's, performs really, really well. This one we actually picked up knowing there was a spot on the front, but because the sell-through rate was so high, we knew we could price it a little bit lower and it would still flip quickly. So I paid $4.89 for these. We listed for about $45. They sold within just a couple of weeks of being listed for an offer of $40. This is a brand I wanted to mention because I did see a pretty high sell-through rate for this, and it's something you could look for. This is Hillflint. This brand like does merchandising for different things. In this particular case, it was, I think it's a baseball red sweater. And so you might see different teams paired with this brand, but overall as a brand, it seemed worth getting because it was a really big sell-through rate. This one we got at the bins, and I don't know, I had a feeling. I touched it. It felt super thick and high quality. I looked the brand up with reds, saw super high sell-through rate, and got it. This took a couple of months to sell, but it sold for our full asking price of $34.89. So if you're somebody who doesn't normally pick up sportswear like me, just because you don't know much about it, this is a brand I'd say you could definitely look for. Obviously do your comps, but it seemed to be doing pretty good. Last one on eBay before we jump on to the better Poshmark sales. This is a Pendleton women's new with tags wool skirt, size 18, which is a larger size. I don't normally pick up skirts, and to be honest, I used to not even pick up Pendleton skirts, but lately we've noticed an uptick on the wool skirts in Pendleton, so I just wanted to make mention of that. We've been selling quite a few of these. Most of the time they are larger sizes, and obviously this one's new with tags, which is going to help. But in general, we've been selling a lot of Pendleton wool skirts. So I thought I would make note of it here. You just want to keep an eye on that sell-through rate because it can change anytime. We paid $4.89 for this, listed it for about $40. It ended up selling for $35.90. Moving on to Poshmark sales. Again, a lot of these Poshmark sales, I'm not even kidding, were like $5 sales. So really dragging that average sale price down. But that doesn't mean that we did not have some really, really good full price sales of some of the newer items that we've been listing where we knew what we were doing. So this was a very recent pickup. I actually think this sold within a week of getting it listed. We've been picking up a lot of kids' coats in the same brands that we would get the adult coats, and mainly looking for the puffer jackets. This is a North Face girls reversible puffer jacket, and I've sold these. I was so surprised the first time I found one and did a comp because they're selling for like $45, which is really, really surprising. So these reversible ones go for about $40, flip very quickly. This was a nice pink color as well. We paid $3.99 for this. Also worth noting, kids' coats are going to be significantly cheaper than the adult coats, which even though sometimes you can still get the same amount for a kid's coat, I would definitely look into it. So we paid $3.99. It ended up selling, like I said, within I think a couple of weeks on Poshmark for $36. Here's an adult North Face sale. Just wanted to show you this one. I try to focus on the larger sizes in the women's department only because I do think that in the adult section, North Face has really gone downhill as far as sell-through rate. So you do have to do a little bit more research to figure out, what sizes are selling, what styles are selling. This one I did look up the style. It was called the Campshire pullover sweater, and since I had a size large, I thought I could sell it quickly. We paid $4.89 for this, and it sold for full price on Poshmark of $49, and there was even a small spot on the front. This is a brand I've mentioned in the past. I won't say much about it. You can pretty much pick up anything in this brand and it's going to flip super quickly. It is Flint and Tinder. These are just a pair of men's khaki chino pants, and I paid $4.89. It sold for $39, and these usually flip within a week. This is just kind of an add-on sale, I guess I would say, that I thought I would mention. If you guys find any Nike baseball caps, they don't all go for $20. Some of them, I would say there's a range between like $15 and like $40 depending on what you have. This one was a pretty average one though, right? Listed it for $20 and it did sell for $20. Got this at the bins, so probably paid, actually sorry, we did not get this one at the bins. We paid $1.99, which is full price at Goodwill. But if you're finding them at the bins or even at a regular thrift store, they're super cheap to flip into $20. And hardly have to photograph it because you just throw it on a table is totally worth it to me. So I would definitely keep your eye out for Nike baseball caps. Another Nike item that sold for us, I do like picking up Nike sweatshirts. Women's are risky, in my opinion, not a high sell-through rate in women's, so I do try to focus on the larger sizes. This is a size extra large, again with the oversized, which also led me to believe it would sell quickly. And also that center swoosh The center swooshes are still really popular and a neutral color. So for all of those reasons, factor stacking to get it. I paid $4.89. It sold within about a week for our full asking price on Poshmark of $29. I know I've talked about Athleta before, but just wanted to reiterate, Athleta and really any athletic wear brand right now is selling better in the anything but skinny. So like boot cut, straight pants, flare pants, all going to add more value than skinny right now. And so I wanted to show you a few examples of that. These are called the Athleta straight up pants. We paid $4.89. They sold for $27. And then additionally, these Lululemon flare yoga pants, these ones sold for $46. I don't know about you guys, but I'm listing like Lululemon skinny, just regular leggings still, and they are hardly moving. But then I list something like this and it sells within a day for $46. So just wanted to throw that out there. Maybe start looking for the wider leg pants in the athletic wear section. This is another puffer jacket. This is an Eddie Bauer women's 650 Cirrus light down puffer jacket. Made sure to figure out what that style was called. This was also a size large and a longer length, all good indicators of an item to pick up. We actually paid up for this. We paid $9.99. It sold very quickly though for $50 on Poshmark. This is a brand, this is the only time I found this brand, but it seems to have a really good following and sell for good money. It is Beach Riot, made in US. This one was actually a size extra small, which I think had it been a larger size would have flipped within like a couple of days because the sell-through rate was so high. We got this for $4.89 and it sold very quickly. I would say within a few weeks for $40. Here's Ralph Lauren again. This is a Ralph Lauren sweatshirt. This is Polo Jeans Co. by Ralph Lauren. This is a men's spell-out sweatshirt, and we even mentioned a couple small holes in the front. Still sold for $36. I would definitely keep your eye out for Ralph Lauren sweatshirts, especially if they've got a spell-out in the front. This was a pretty interesting sale, and I got to learn a little bit about this designer called Jill Sander. If you see Jill Sander, I would definitely probably pick it up, but obviously you want to look into it. But this is Uniqlo collaborating with this designer. So obviously that's going to drive down the price a little bit, but anytime I see a collaboration, I'm looking it up, whether that's H&M, whether that is... I'm trying to think of another one, but you get the point. Mall brands, when collaborating with somebody, sometimes those collaborations, because they happen for such a short period of time, can become very valuable. So I do like to look those up. This ended up being one that was a very high sell-through rate. So Uniqlo by Jill Sander or just Jill Sander, definitely worth getting. This felt super thick and high quality, which is why I looked into it. It is a lamb's wool sweater. This one actually did have a spot on it, but it still sold within about a week for $40. Super happy with that. Not sure if you guys are familiar with Uniqlo, but not normally a very high sell-through rate. Again, sometimes their collaborations can be really good, so I'd keep an eye out for it. I did want to show you this tag. So the tag just says +J, but then on the material tag, it does say Uniqlo, which is typical for Uniqlo collaborations. This is a pair of Cole Haan boots. I'd highly recommend getting Cole Haan boots. They tend to flip pretty quickly for me. We got these at the bins and they sold for $36. Just pretty plain pair of leather boots. Also, a pair of leather boots I would look for. This brand is really good. It is Born. And a little bit of a difference between Born and BOC by Born. I try to focus on Born. It is the like higher end one, if you will. And I do also try to focus on the taller shaft ones. So these were kind of like a knee length boot. These are the tall campus brown leather boots. 7.5 size, so not even that big of a size. We paid $8.50 for these. They sold pretty quickly for $38. Another brand in boots you might want to look for, and this one's kind of surprising, is Dr. Scholl's. I was passing on this brand, but one good thing I like about this brand is they do have the style name right on the inside. You've got your sizing. It's actually really easy to look up. Just like the brand I just showed you, I try to focus on a taller shaft. So these ones are a wedge boot, and these actually were wide calf, so I made sure to look those up as well. This one's not going to sell as much or for as much, but does have a really good sell-through rate. So I definitely keep your eye out for Dr. Scholl's, particularly in the taller boots. We paid $6.99 for these, and they sold for $28, and I think they only took a week to sell. Here's LL Bean again. I wanted to show you this jacket because this is a super popular style right now. I've mentioned it before, but anything that could be considered kind of aviator style is really in. So aviator style would be the fur collar coming out. And this kind of gave me those vibes, so I did include the word aviator. Not only that, but also anything like Westernish with the show Yellowstone. You guys are probably tired of hearing me talk about that, but Yellowstone is a very popular show right now. If you're not aware, it's like kind of a Western show. And so anything that becomes really popular in pop culture takes influence to fashion, and that's where a lot of these trends are coming from. And I've noticed a huge uptick in Western wear stuff. So definitely looking for things that could be influenced by that show, and I thought this jacket really fit the bill as well. Again, with that aviator, that one really pulled it through. This is just a faux suede shearling jacket. So faux suede and then the fur lining on the inside, women's size large. Paid $6.99. This sold, I would say it took about a month to sell, but it sold for $45, which is pretty good. I just keep your eye out for the style. This is something you can look for in other brands as well. And last one, this was totally a style-based trust your gut instinct pickup that I wanted to share with you. The brand is 12th Tribe, which when I look this up, seemed to be kind of a boutique-y brand almost, and not a good sell-through rate at all. I will say people were pricing these dresses very high, but not a good sell-through rate. So like really, really not a good sell-through rate. I don't even think it was at 50%. But something about this dress was just very unique to me. It was very on trend. It was a midi length. You can see the beautiful colors that it's going on. It's got a little bit of almost like caging. It's got a sweetheart neckline. I just thought it was gorgeous. I trusted my gut, and it sold very, very quickly for $36 on Poshmark. I like to show you the trust your gut ones and kind of reason through that, because a lot of us find stuff that is cute at a thrift store, but then in addition to it being cute, you got to ask yourself, okay, what factors are adding value in order to justify a cute pickup? So that was kind of my reasoning for this. I hope that working through that process helps you guys on some of your kind of like gut instinct feelings, but I've been trusting my gut more, and it's definitely paying off. All right, guys, so that is it for today's What Sold video. Thank you guys so much for coming on. Thanks for bearing through the kind of rushed intros and outros. It does help me sometimes to be able to do videos like this without an intro and an outro in order to get them done. I'd rather put out a video than like wait an extra week to make it look all fancy. So hope that you guys still got the information you needed. Hope that this was all helpful. If you guys have any questions, you can drop them in the comments down below. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you haven't already. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. See you later.